I think it's the most undervalued asset on the planet. The word that I think of is asymmetrical, low downside, high upside. I have been one of the few people who have either been too stupid or had the guts to say that I believe it's the military-industrial complex that has been suppressing the price of silver for a very long time. And I think they've gotten caught. Let me explain. Most of my career, no one ever stood for delivery. Never stood for delivery. Right now, we see the LBMA, the London Metals Exchange, which has watched its inventory. If anyone out there Googles silver stockpiles of LBMA, you'll get a graph. And it's like a ski hill. It's straight down to the lowest level of silver since they started keeping records in the 140-year exchange. It's being drained. Now, the LBMA is a T+1 settlement, meaning T for trade plus one settle. Third day your metal is moving. Well, they're telling us that it's T+8 weeks because they don't have enough in the way of trucks or manpower to move it. David Jensen, who does an amazing job on Substack, will tell you that they have a 190 million ounce float. They have 800 million ounces of silver there, of which 190 million are available to be delivered against the contracts. The other 500 plus million belong to the ETFs large. But they trade 1.9 billion 1.9 billion ounces per day is what they are in essence doing. The number that they really do is roughly 200 million ounces per day. That's what they post. But he goes on and shows proof, and it's been verified that they only post the final settlement numbers, that they're trading 10 times that amount to 1.92 billion ounces per day, 3.5 times the annual global mine supply, 10 times the float. So if everyone stands for delivery, and you only have 1/10 the silver there, do you see a problem? Well, yeah, we're T+8 weeks now. Sorry, not the T+1 that we told you because we don't have enough in the way of trucks. So let me back that up. How does it all happen? 3 years ago, when I gave a speech at VRIC, where I always see you, Jay Martin's conference, and Jay is here, and it's the only other conference I always go to. Check it out. It's a good one in Charlotte's backyard in January in Vancouver. I said there's 500 ounces in the tip of a Tomahawk cruise missile. That's the research I came up with. And I don't know anyone saying that before that. A guy comes up to me in the audience and he says, I work for the Department of Defense. I almost fall over. He says, I have designed and helped develop cruise missiles, and I think there's some silver in it, but I think you're wrong on the number. Okay, sorry. I helped develop the Tomahawk cruise missile. These are all declassified. And he showed me the pictures and he said, you're right, I'll be damned. Between 13 and 14 kilograms of silver in the cone of almost every cruise missile you can think of. Hellfire, Tomahawk, Patriot, you name it. And all sorts of high-tech weaponry and aerospace and submarines, they all have silver in it. And now so the military needs all this silver for high-tech weaponry. It used to be calculated in the supply-demand numbers out of the Silver Institute. Not anymore. It vanished. We have a 250 or 60 million shortfall every year and no military applications in the supply demand numbers. Okay. So even more interesting. And then you get to the point where you take a look at COMEX. There are 8 banks, 8 Western commercial banks, 8 that hold the largest concentrated short position of any commodity ever traded in the history of the COMEX market in silver. This tiny little market, you have 8 banks that are massively short. And the LBMA, they're trading 3.5 times the annual global mine supply every single day, 10 times the availability of the silver that they have backing those contracts. All of this stuff. Now ask yourself, why? Why would 8 Western banks hold a short position as extremely large as it is, and almost all of it naked, meaning it's not backed by anything? And the question is, in my mind, answered by the reality of the military-industrial complex. Think BlackRock. BlackRock is the custodian, along with JP Morgan, of the world's largest silver trust, SLV. You can naked short the hell out of SLV if you want. So let's just pretend I'm right for a moment. A company like BlackRock, who owns all of the military manufacturers like Raytheon and all of the companies that make the weapons. Well, they also are very deep into silver, whether it be PSLV or being a custodian of SLV and GLD. So they suppress the price of silver to make the high-tech weapons to create and sell all around the world to wage war. And then you see countries like the Ukraine get blown up with those weapons. Who then gets the reconstruction contract? Oh yeah, it's BlackRock. My point to you is this. It's not that silver has underperformed or is counterintuitive in its nature. It's why are 8 banks holding it down the way that they are. Now, people would say, well, can that go on forever? No, it can't, because for the first time over the last 2 years, countries that are now coordinated, motivated, sophisticated, and wealthy, mostly the BRICS nations, are saying, okay, well, we'll stand for delivery. And the LBMA, zoom, their inventory is dropping. Now we're T plus 8 weeks. Sorry, we're not the T plus 1 day that we told you we are. And now you're seeing record imports into the United States. Record, month over month over month. Huge amounts. So the question is silver traded freely? No. Will it? Yes, I believe it is, because what is happening for the first time ever is that these banks in the West, who are stupid as a mud wall by doing this, are now being challenged by the rest of the world for delivery. So I would say silver offers potential that I've never seen in any asset I've ever owned or would ever think of buying with such low downside. And, I would say to those people, have strong fingertips, trust your gut. There isn't an asset with a better setup on the planet, not just for the fact that it's undervalued or it's being shorted, but the plurality in uses, monetary uses, digital uses, solar panel use, military use. All of these uses for silver in different areas makes it an asset that, and your folks in Canada are lobbying to move it from a industrial to a strategic metal. It is a strategic metal. And my favorite guy on Twitter, Eric Young, King Kong on Twitter, Yeung, I think it is, he says the Chinese are doing the same thing. They're shorting the price in the West to beat it, join them if you can't beat them, and buying it all around the world. China is the second largest producer in the world of silver, and they're flying all around Latin America. Go ask Sean Kunkun from Dolly Varden. He'll tell you they're flying all around Latin America, going right to the miners like Dolly Varden and saying, we will buy your doré and your concentrate and pay double what the West will. Doré being crudely refined bars and concentrate like a sludge. And they ship it back to China to refine it. Now, why would the second largest producer in the world of silver need to do that? And Sean says because it is strategic. They see the future and they're trying to pickpocket every last ounce on every shelf across the globe. But if you short it first in New York, then you go all around the world and buy it where it's not reflective, where its acquisition doesn't reflect the price change. And in particular, going directly to the miner, where you're disintermediating the market altogether. So yeah, in my mind, Charlotte, it is the most undervalued asset of a generation.